Hey team, before we get started on this episode, I just wanted to say real fast, I just finished watching the interview and the show that you're about to watch, and I realized I left like a really important piece out of this equation, and that is that I do not formulate the products for Wilderness Athlete. We have a genius formulator named Richard Scheckenbach who has been doing this for over 50 years, who is just an amazingly intelligent person. I mistakenly call him a microbiologist in this episode, which I feel really silly about. He's a biochemist, two different things. But he has been formulating brilliant hydration products, especially since way before it was cool, way before it was trendy. Back in the days where it was just Gatorade and Powerade, he was making products like Hydrate and Recover and then brought us Hydrate and Recover in 2003, 2004. And he has always been ahead of his time in this field. So as much as I love trying to explain these concepts, I'm only the messenger. I am simply regurgitating the knowledge that Rich has given me over the last 10 years. I am not the scientist. I'm the business person. And so if I make a mistake in this episode, I think I mixed up a couple chemistry terms at one point. I can't remember the word glycolysis at one point. I just want you to know that I am not the formulator, and we do have a genius formulator behind our products, which is something that not every company in this day and age can say. We formulate every single one by hand, by his hand, and we're so proud to call his work ours. So I just want to give credit where credit is due, and make sure that you have that context as we get into this episode.
Welcome back to the Keep Up Show, guys. My name's Ethan, and I'm really excited today because I have with me Courtney Guillen, who is the CEO and part owner of Wilderness Athlete, Outdoorsmans, and the Western Hunter. And we are here to talk about something called Maltodextrin, which has been very trendy on the internet lately. And Courtney wants to talk about. So
I'm very passionate about this topic. So I was really excited when Ethan asked me to be on the Keep Up Show for the first time. I said, I have something I want to talk about. We got to clear the air about this product. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So as you guys know, we want to speak to things that you are passionate about. So here we go. And if you have any other things that you want to talk about, leave it in the comments below. But today we're going to start with maltodextrin. And I wanted to start with the word of filler. And I put that in quotes because it's something that people say, but I don't think really know what that's mean.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a term in our industry that really drives me crazy because especially with hydration, so people talk about cheap fillers in hydration products. Well, there's really no reason for a company to fill up their product with anything that doesn't serve a purpose. If you're trying to add calories, like if you're trying to promise a mass gainer shake or something like that, then maybe use cheap carbs or cheap protein to meet a caloric demand. But with hydration, we're trying to get your electrolytes in your bloodstream as quickly as possible. We're not trying to fill anything. And so when we hear people on the internet say fillers, why do you use fillers? And I think where it all came from is we've talked about this. It's marketing 101 to find a villain in your marketing, right? Like it's a lot easier to rally your troops behind a bad guy. And so companies will start their company, their new product, and they'll go around the table and say like, who do we hang today? Who do we make the bad guy, right? And I think there's certain ingredients that are useful in supplements that are easy because they sound scary, maybe. So it's easy to say like that's unnatural. And so we get these terms like cheap fillers or
just simplifying basically a big complicated scientific word and being like very unknown, like that's very complicated, it's bad.
Yeah. And they don't talk about moderation, right? Like, and that's where I really get passionate about it. And we've got a lot to talk about there of like anything in excess can be bad for you, including water, including I think all the air, maybe. I don't know if you could overdose on air. I don't know. Someone's probably going to comment like, here's how you do it. But even water, you can drown, right? It's too much. You can have too much of a good thing. And you can have levels of a product in your diet, in your bloodstream that are good or bad. So I think categorically calling things like maltodextrin, silicon dioxide, even sugar, like calling those things fillers without looking at why did this company put this ingredient in this product? What scientific purpose does it serve? If you don't ask that question and you just assume something about the company, I think that's wrong. And so I'm really passionate about the idea of bringing some common sense back to our marketing in this industry. There's a lot of false promises out there. Now with AI, we're seeing like just insane things being promised and now you can make it look like that physical changes are happening, right? And so there's a lot of lies out there. There's a lot of crazy promises. And I want to encourage our customers and encourage anyone watching this to like have a return to common sense, listen to your body. If you believe everything you hear on the internet, you're not listening to your intuition, you're not listening to your body. So that's a background of why I hate the word fillers. And the biggest, baddest filler of all that gets, hung out to dry is maltodextrin, which we do use in our products. And I want to talk about why. So.
Yeah. I mean, you hear people on a podcast that you trust, you listen to these guys, they have fancy titles. You see stuff on social media all the time. You see things, maltodextrin, big fancy word, bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get into maltodextrin specifically.
Yeah.
And I guess let's just start with what is
maltodextrin? And I would bet that most people who say it's that they avoid it or it's bad for them don't know what it is. So maltodextrin is basically a bunch of glucose together. So it's chains of glucose chained to other short chains of glucose. So it's another word for it is called the glucose polymer. I think as the word maltodextrin starts to get less and less, or starts to get more and more like controversial, you're going to see more and more companies use the words glucose polymer in their ingredients. And that happens all the time, guys. Like if something starts to lose favor, there's actually usually a couple other things we can legally call it on a label, and it's up to us to decide which thing to use. They're going to start calling it a glucose polymer, I bet, any day now. It's the same with raw cane sugar, dextrose or sucrose or fructose, like sounds bad. So, those are all just sugar, right? They're all just natural sugar from the earth. So people say raw cane sugar. It's the same chemical compound. So anyway, maltodextrin is chains of glucose molecules, and glucose is basically the lifeblood of how our body functions. Is almost, or just, it's all very important, but similarly important as sodium, which is what obviously we have in Hydrate and Recover. So maltodextrin actually starts breaking down, or our body starts digesting it the minute it hits our tongue. The enzymes in our saliva start breaking down those long chains of glucose as soon as it hits our tongue. By the time it enters our small intestine, it's broken down completely into glucose. There's no other molecules or compounds in maltodextrin. It's simply glucose. And glucose is sugar. Okay. So I think that's where a lot of maybe the concern comes from, is if you say that maltodextrin is glucose, is sugar, then people assume like you're trying to hide sugar on their label. No, we're not trying to hide it. There's a lot of reasons to use maltodextrin instead of just pure glucose, or dextrose, I should say, which is glucose. One of the reasons is maltodextrin is not sweet. And so when we need to deliver carbohydrates, which we're going to talk about why we need carbohydrates in hydration. When we need to deliver carbohydrates, we can do so in a couple different ways. And sugar is a very easy way to do it. Sugar is a carbohydrate, right? So we have some options available to us to get carbohydrates into our hydration products. And if we wanted to use all natural sugars, just sugar, eventually that product is going to become very sweet and at a point not palatable. Also, glucose or dextrose sitting in your stomach can cause some GI upset. That kind of like full sloshy feeling can be caused by having too much sugar in your gut. Whereas maltodextrin is broken down in our small intestines into glucose after it's passed the stomach. And so, I mean, if you've ever gone and eaten a lot of candy, like what sugar can feel like on your gut. And so we're trying to avoid that. And so maltodextrin doesn't get broken down until it's in your small intestine. It starts getting broken down partially in your mouth. It actually passes through the stomach without much more digestion, and then it breaks down in your small intestine. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the work really begins with glucose and sodium. And so, long story short, maltodextrin is glucose. Glucose is the fuel that your body needs to function. One of them, right? We have glucose needs on a daily basis, like simply to sit here and talk and have relatively normal brain function. I need over 100 grams of glucose. Sorry. Yes, 100 grams of glucose a day. I don't want to misspeak and get my milligrams and grams mixed up and tell you to overdose on something. And so we need it. It's part of our biology and our physiology and our chemistry. And so I think categorically claiming that maltodextrin is horrible for you is just it's just wrong. Is it a hidden sugar? I guess. Yeah, I'll give you that one. Yes, it's sugar basically. But it's not sweet, which helps, like with the things I was talking about. And it breaks down completely into glucose. And there's no byproducts of it, right? So it's not like it's bonded to another molecule or anything and that might cause any problems. It's only it's strings of glucose basically is all it is.
Well, I'm really interested in the fact that it could be just called something else like a glucose polymer.
Yep.
We talked about it the other day, and it's almost like, it fits really well into anybody who has an ingredient or a product that they have a certain ingredient that they want to villainize something with. And it's just like, maybe they just call it something else.
Yeah.
And when at the end of the day, it's glucose and it's going to do what glucose does in your body. And if you have
glucose in there.
Yeah, if you have too much of it, it's going to be a problem. If you have not enough, it's going to be a problem.
The moderation thing is what I really want to drive home. I think back when like weight gainers were really popular for like bodybuilders and stuff, they would drink these high carb drinks during workouts. And there's a lot of different ways to feed your body like 50 grams of carbs per hour, which is like what they were trying to, something insane like that. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And I think there's some ways that are better than others. I wouldn't recommend drinking 50 grams of maltodextrin every hour, but there were people doing that. And there were products that were touting that. No, but I would not recommend that. But again, like moderation, like we're talking 5 grams, maximum 5 grams of maltodextrin. The way our product works, that can go up or down just a little bit based on the flavoring and the fructose. But it's about 5 grams of maltodextrin per serving. The only people that I would say really need to be very concerned about any of the negative effects of maltodextrin may be diabetics. However, I could name multiple caretakers, physicians that have approved Hydrate and Recover for their patients. And my mom, for instance, is a physician, and she did for years. She worked for a nonprofit that provided healthcare to homeless people. So she met these people out on the streets and provided healthcare for them because she's like an angel or something. And so, and she would use Hydrate and Recover for the homeless population in Phoenix in the middle of the summer, and had incredible success with it with diabetics, with not seeing the blood sugar spikes that people are so scared of. The two things I should address that people, just to make sure everybody's feels like their questions are answered. The two things that you hear about maltodextrin being bad, one is that it spikes your blood sugar because it's just sugar, and two is problems with your microbiome. So I can start with the blood sugar thing. Because it is glucose, it is one of the higher glycemic index sugars. It does hit your bloodstream quickly. That is by design. We did that on purpose. So we're not trying to cause you pain and suffering and make you have the jitters and can't have a sugar crash. If you've ever tried Hydrate and Recover, you'll know that's not going to happen. We use that function of glucose to get the sodium into your bloodstream faster. And we're going to talk about how hydration works in a minute, which is fascinating. But glucose is a key component of that. So the faster we can get the glucose into your bloodstream, the faster we can get the sodium also in your bloodstream, the faster you're going to feel better also. Like at the end of the day, like I said, you need glucose. I've always wondered, and I'm sure you've done this too, you try other people's products, other hydration products, and it'll have like 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and the internet says it's the best thing they've ever tried. And I try it and I'm like, I just don't feel that same like immediate pick me up. And that's because the sodium's taking a little too long to get into your bloodstream, which we'll talk about, but also that glucose getting in your bloodstream, it feels good, right? Like it's a good feeling. It's because that your body needs it. It's not some sort of like unnatural response. It's a very natural response to having a quick shot of glucose. Again, 5 grams. Like it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And then we use fructose as the secondary sugar in our product. And fructose is the lowest glycemic index sugar. So you've got a quick hit and then you have a little longer hit. And if you're packing out a bowl, or if you're finishing a CrossFit workout, or if you're pregnant and dehydrated all the time, not anymore, thank God. It is pivotal that you can make things happen faster, and glucose lets things happen fast.
Yeah, and I was doing a little bit of research before this about maltodextrin, specifically after people were working out. And there was actually a study that I came across where after working out, if you took maltodextrin, it helped with the recovery process.
Yeah.
So as something that we take into the backcountry when we're packing out all day, every day, hiking for 4+ hours, it's something that your body needs.
Yeah.
So
it really is.
It's really interesting.
It's it's pretty crucial. It's glucose is pretty crucial. And any of you who have ever gone on a super low carb diet, like a keto diet, knows how difficult that process of getting from where we are now to ketosis, which is when your body actually uses ketones for energy instead of glucose. That process. I've done it a couple times. That process, 3 or 4 days, sucks. Like you feel like crap. And so not to like bash on keto and ketosis, because I think it's a really interesting thing and everyone should try it once, and maybe stay on it your whole life if you love it. But that in between is a glucose, what's the word? See, this is when I can't remember words. When you don't have enough of something. Shortage. It's a shortage. Yeah. There's a better word, but it's a glucose shortage, and your muscles and your brain feel like crap. So, not to like I said, not to bash keto, but and because I know, but you need glucose. I think you need glucose if you're going to be in, what is it?
Ketosis?
No, in ketosis you need ketones. Glucose is it glycolysis? I don't know. It's ketosis with gluten.
Yeah, whatever that.
I'm not a scientist. I just play one up.
Scientists, comment down below with the word.
Yeah, scientists, let me know what it is. The opposite of ketosis, like just what we're in now.
Right.
Whatever that is.
I wanted to touch on fructose really quickly because, and we can do a whole nother episode on fructose, but
it's actually kind of boring.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just sugar.
It was interesting because looking into fructose a little bit, a big thing was high fructose corn syrup.
Yes.
So the word high fructose corn syrup, when people hear the word fructose by itself, I think they immediately think high fructose corn syrup, bad for me.
I agree. I was on the phone with Rich earlier, our formulator, and I was reading him a customer email, and I was kind of laughing because I was like, I don't know why the customer like listed fructose as something that they were not happy with. I was like, that's just fruit sugar. It's basically the same sugar that you get in all your fruit. It's naturally occurring sugar. And he goes, oh, it's because of high fructose corn syrup. And I hadn't even really thought of that. But yeah, high fructose corn syrup has its own trend of being hated. And then now you'll see ads and stuff of like trying to defend it, try to be like, this is just, and they explain the scientific process of getting fructose into high fructose corn syrup. But it definitely has, some negative qualities, I would say. We don't use it. I think they're probably overstated because again, if we really wanted to like get a whole bunch of people to love our product, it'd be really easy to say, we don't use high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is so bad. And here's all the things. And we'd rather focus on the good of our product. And we don't really do the whole villainizing other things very often, because at the end of the day, I think everyone's different and what works for you. And we hope our product works for you. But if it doesn't, then so be it. But yeah, you're totally right. It's high fructose corn syrup that gets people scared of fructose. And fructose is just God's given sugar. It's just sugar. It's not a chain of sugars like maltodextrin. It's just a sugar molecule derived from the same sugar that you see in fruit.
Not to get too far off track, but I was doing a project where I'm like, what is the villain for Hydrate and Recover if we were to find it? And I just kept coming back to like, I think it's just the noise. Like,
the confusion.
The confusion, the the stuff out there that, everybody else is villainizing. It's like, I think that's just all encompassing just our villain is.
If I could say, yeah, if something that's a villain of wilderness athlete in general is like, we don't want to join the arguments back and forth about how to perfect our product or bodies. And like, I get really bogged down by like, I mean, I shouldn't say it because like they're doing good things for our community, the people, the podcasters and stuff who are encouraging people to think about this stuff. But like I saw an ad the other day of like this blood testing thing, and you could test your blood once a month and you send it into a lab and you can see your progress and da, da, da.
Rid of that, yeah.
Like, okay, I get it, but like I feel like at times that can like turn people off from wanting to get started on being healthier and trusting our bodies. At the end of the day, I think a lot of us have gotten really used to trusting what we see on the internet and not trusting our bodies, our families, our friends. I see it as a mom. Like I don't Google anything about my kids. I didn't during pregnancies. I couldn't. I asked my mom and my best friend, and that's about it. Like of two other moms that I trust, and they are my internet because I having the whole world available to us that's my villain. It's like our community got too big too fast, and then you have this just noise, and it's really hard to make a decision about anything, and there's a lot of lies out there too.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And I think you said something the other day that really stuck with me. Maybe it was even this morning. It felt like the other day.
I don't know.
But you said that, man, if it feels, I just got to listen to my body.
Yes.
If my body feels good, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I want to tell people about Hydrate and Recover when, we get an email about, well, I don't eat maltodextrin. I won't eat anything with maltodextrin. First of all, you do. You are eating it and somewhere in your diet. I just could guarantee it unless you're living the cleanest life I've ever seen, in which case you probably wouldn't be interested in supplements in the first place. And where is it going with that? Oh, and second of all, try it. Just try it, and try it under pressure, right? Like whether it's a workout and you want to take Hydrate and Recover before or after, or you have a hangover. I mean, if you want to see Hydrate and Recover shine, have a bottle of wine. And not that I've ever done that, but like the next morning, try Hydrate and Recover. You should see us at trade shows, especially on the business side where like guys are, off on their business trip and they go partying all night, and then we're at the booth the next morning with Superman's mixed up or Hydrate mixed up, and we've got lines of guys.
What's most popular booth?
Most popular booth, smelling water bottles. And I'll tell you, the reason it works better than those other hydration products is the glucose, is the maltodextrin. Like I'm not going to apologize for maltodextrin anymore. It is one of the reasons our product works so well. It is functional. And again, in small amounts, in moderation, it is just fine. So try it and trust your body. If you drink it and you don't feel a difference or you hate it, then send it back to us and we'll refund you.
That's me.
Yeah, and then it goes in the employee stash, and it's just more free product for the employees. So it's actually good for us. If you want to send us a couple bags back every once in a while,
I'll take it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah, that's a
very
quote.
Great quote.
Yeah.
Applies to almost everything in life. So we talked a little bit about what maltodextrin is, what the digestion process is. Let's move to kind of zoom out and talk about just the basics of hydration in general.
Yeah. Okay, so this is fascinating stuff. And I've been joking with him because I just had a couple kids within like too short of a time, and I used to know a lot of this stuff like the back of my hand. Obviously, running this company and training employees and stuff, I could spout off about hydration, and then I forgot everything for 3 years or 2 years, I guess it took to have kids. And so since I have gotten back into it, I'm almost like relearning, and I'm like, oh, this is so fascinating. I forgot all this stuff. I'm like watching chemistry videos on YouTube again and stuff. So, but hydration is a fascinating process. And obviously we know sodium's necessary for life, right? It's like the electricity that connects it all together and makes it all go and lets our muscles move and our brain work. Sodium is pivotal to our survival, as is glucose or ketones. But what's really cool is there's two ways that hydration works. There's active transport and there's passive transport. Most hydration products nowadays that claim no sugar, no carbs, because that's trendy, right? Like, oh, low sugar, no carbs, no maltodextrin. Okay. But 1,000 milligrams of vitamin or of sodium, it works, but it doesn't work as well as it could. So there's, like I said, two ways. The first way is passively. So sodium enters your digestive tract, and when it gets to your small intestine, it basically gets pulled out of your small intestine and into your bloodstream along the gradient, basically. So if there's less sodium on the outside of the small intestine and more sodium on the inside, it's going to go towards the lower concentration to try and even out the concentration on the inside and the outside. That's very basic. And if you're a scientist and you're hearing this, don't judge me. I have a business degree, okay, but I watched a YouTube video. I'm just kidding. But I did. So sodium gets in your bloodstream that way, right? And it happens in the lower part of your small intestine. And it's affected by a lot of other things. So it's affected by what else is in your small intestine. It's affected by how much water you've drank, like what the concentration of the sodium inside is, what the concentration of the sodium outside is. If that's high, it can actually pull water back into the small intestine. And that's the important part too. Not only are we getting sodium pulled out of the small intestine, which we need to get into our bloodstream and our cells of our body. But we need to pull water out of our small intestine and into our body, your bloodstream also. And so that water goes with sodium. Where sodium goes, water goes. You can imagine then if there's more sodium on the outside than the inside, you're actually going to pull water into the small intestine. So that's why you can get some like GI, like watery things going when you overdose on a lot of sodium. Or when people will take like those sodium pills and there's just like a ton of sodium like sitting in their small intestine, that's not necessarily good either. So sodium is one of those things where more is not always better. More paired with the right circumstances can be better. But just throwing salt on it is not going to fix the problem. It's not like a bad dinner. It's just, it won't work. And so, but that's how passive transport works. It's a passive, slower. Yes, definitely slower. A lot of other variants in that process affect it. It's not always as reliable. Yeah. And so it's great. It works, but it's not the only way to get sodium and water into your bloodstream. The far more, effective way, that happens faster and actually starts further up in your digestive tract in your small intestine is active transport. And this is what I think is so cool. We have a transporter called the sodium glucose linked transporter. And so it literally takes, I think it's 2 sodium ions and 1, I had that written down because I think that's so fascinating. It's 2 sodium, I believe, and 1 glucose. And it pulls it into a transporter and actively transports the sodium, glucose, and water from the inside of the small intestine into the bloodstream. There's billions of these transporters in our small intestine. That's what I think is also so cool. So
Billions with a B.
With a B.
Yeah.
So, and it's microbiology is like so hard for me to fathom because it's like the cells, the billions of cells in your small intestine each have like a lot of V's, like thousands, I believe. Like it's a lot. And so it's so small, it's hard to even fathom. But yeah, these transporters literally take a glucose and a sodium, or 2 sodium and a glucose, or something like that, and pull them from your small intestine into all the little middle cells in between and spit them out the other side in your bloodstream. That's how it works. And so it's really, it's cool because it's almost like, our bodies were like purpose built, right? They are purpose built to like process these 2 things at the same time, glucose and sodium. And so not only does the glucose get it through faster, but the sodium gets through faster, the water gets through faster, and overall hydration happens faster. And so I've noticed this, like, I remember thinking for years, like, couldn't put my finger on what it is about our product that feels so much better than others. And I told Rich this story. Kevin and I were in Vegas for this industry's show back in October, and it was his birthday, and we shared a bottle of wine, not a glass. We didn't share a glass. Shared a bottle of wine at dinner of red wine, yeah. And I had a headache in the morning, and I'm at a nutrition trade show, so my purse is full of samples and products and that people hand you and whatever. And so I grab a product that shall not be named, but it's got 1,000 milligrams of sodium and it's got a fancy salt in it. And I grab one of those and take it, and I wait, and just as a test, right? Let's see how it does. I wait 30 minutes, I swear. And I'm like, I'm still dragging. My head still kind of hurts. My body just, I just don't want to get up and get ready. So I grab a Hydrate and Recover and I mix it with a Rescue. And so at this point, I'm at a lot of sodium, right? Like, because it's got the 1,000 milligrams and then the R's. And I take that. And so my gut's probably got a lot of sodium in it already, like ready to go, just hanging out in there. Take that Hydrate and Recover with the glucose or maltodextrin, 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, perking up. And I realize that I bias. Like, I realize that I love this company and I love my product. But at the end of the day, the first one was I wanted it to work. I really did. I wanted to think just 1,000 milligrams of I keep saying vitamin C, just 1,000 milligrams of sodium will work. No, that glucose does its job, and it's so scientific. Why? There's no arguing that this transporter exists and it works and it gets your sodium and your glucose and your water into your bloodstream as fast as humanly possible. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, me too. And I think that it's also important to note that like you were dehydrated, right?
Yes.
You were in a position of dehydration. When you're active and you're sweating a lot, you're in a position of dehydration, yes, which makes it all more important. It's not like you're just sitting at a desk all day, going home to sit on the couch, yes, and then taking all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there's a reason why you need it,
right,
on top of
and even
everyday things.
Yeah. Even, I mean, do you drink it every day?
Every single
time. It doesn't matter if I'm going to have a workout or not. First thing in the morning, I know I'm going to feel better if I'm groggy at all, whether or not I'm dehydrated, or you're always dehydrated first thing in the morning. But whether or not I've, worked out hard the day before or had anything to drink or anything, if I take a Hydrate and Recover first thing in the morning, I'm going to feel better. And that's for a lot of reasons, but and obviously sodium is a big part of that, but glucose is a big part of that. You're restoring your glycogen levels that early and first thing in the day, whether or not you're going to work out. I think it's important. I mean, I do it. I know you do it.
I do it. Yeah. Fair enough.
I only did it when I worked out. I'd miss it.
Yeah. Just to wrap it all up. So maltodextrin being like just the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
What's the wrap up kind of summary to?
I think the takeaway that I want people to have is going back to like common sense and really thinking through how you feel about something or like how your body reacts to something, and also going back to moderation. Maltodextrin, for instance, like many things, if someone's trying to villainize it in a lab, what they'll do is they'll like overdose rats with it, right? They'll say like, well, we injected 1 billion pounds of maltodextrin into this rat and it died. Yeah, I bet it did. Like with there's so many studies like that. They do them on sweeteners too. They do them on maltodextrin where it's like, well, of course we had problems. I think and I know you were kind of asking me to wrap up, but I kind of forgot to talk about the microbiome thing.
Oh no, go for it. We're not wrapping up. And what's out?
The other argument against maltodextrin is that it's like feeds bad bacteria in your gut. And that really goes back to the hidden that it's sugar, that it's glucose. And I think the biggest thing I can say about that is like everything you eat feeds your microbiome in some way, shape, or form. And we go back to moderation. Like, no, I would not suggest a diet of all the carbs you eat are just maltodextrin. I would not suggest that. I would also suggest that you eat fermented foods and that you take your probiotic and that you don't drink too much and that you do drink clear water most of the day and that you eat food that, you're not too separated from its source. Like we eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables and we eat protein that my husband has killed. Like we, for the most part, eat whole foods. And then we supplement because we own a supplement company and we believe in supplementation. We believe that we can't get everything anymore from our fruits and vegetables. and meat. And so I think looking at at your whole life as a balance rather than there is laboratory studies showing that maltodextrin causes uh, bacterial changes in the microbiome of a or the gut of a rat, or in vitro studies, which are just cells in a petri dish. I'm sorry, I'm not a bunch of cells in a petri dish. I'm not a rat either. Like my body functions a lot differently, and it's more complicated than that. And those studies, if a study isn't done on humans, um, then I don't really have any interest in its results. I think like the human studies, longer term studies, are much more valid. But it's just really easy to like cite a study that says, well, it changed, it increased this one bacterial strain in this rat's gut, and that's just not relevant. So moderation, back to moderation. Um, don't don't use this as your sole source of carbohydrates or calories in general. Like eat other things and drink other things and take care of your gut in other ways. We have a great fiber product you should try if you want to take care of it, and a great probiotic. But yeah, I think the microbiome argument is what's kind of getting more trendy right now. Oh, I heard it's bad for your gut. It's bad for your microbiome. And I want to ask people like, what is a microbiome? What does that mean to you? Because, and then what is maltodextrin? And then go ahead and explain to me how glucose molecules affect your microbiome in a way that is going to drastically change your outcome or your life, that counteracts the positive effects of getting these nutrients into your bloodstream as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I get questions a lot about these things as the customer service manager. And I like to send, articles that we've, and not just articles, but like actual scientific studies that our formulators have done, just to kind of explain why we do what we do. And then I, in turn, ask people, and I would ask anybody out there that is interested to send articles or studies that they've found that might contradict or say something different, especially more recent studies. A lot of things that I get back, though, not to call out some of the customers that have done this, but it's a YouTube video, or it's like an article,
influencer, an article, or
an article that references a study that when I click into the study, it's a study done on rats that were injected with 6 times the human amount for 12 weeks.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So I just encourage people out there, just like, because I know it can be super overwhelming to once you start going down this road, which we love. That's like a company that puts everything on iLabel that we want you to read. Like we want to show you what we put in there and why. We want you to start going down that road and caring about what you consume. And we know that it can be overwhelming, which is one of the reasons why I was really excited to do this episode with Courtney, because, just actually getting down to like, okay, what does the research say? Like, what does the study say? I want to really encourage people to just keep clicking into getting into that study and seeing what it says, where it goes, where it comes from, what they did.
And who paid for it, right?
Who paid for it.
That's a big one. You can find a lot of studies for and against a lot of these ingredients that have an ulterior motive, unfortunately. And as much as I agree with you on like, yeah, get into it, I go back sometimes to like, listen to your body. Like,
that's true.
Because the way that studies are set up, first of all, I don't have a degree in this. Ethan doesn't have a degree in this. Our microbiologist formulator, Rich Scheckenbach, does. He is the only person I know who's qualified to really dig into those and see if the way the study was set up is legit or not, right? Because there's ways to set up studies to get whatever proof that you're trying to get. Look at the pharmaceutical industry. Like, I won't go there, but it's pretty rotten with that kind of stuff. And so I think, yes, look, but also listen to your body. And I would say if you're going to read studies, go to the section that says conflicts of interest and where they got the money. A lot of times, like if you're finding a study about a sweetener, for instance, that's not sugar, it'll be paid for like by, Big Sugar of America or whatever. Like, it's like a sugar farm alliance or something, like saying that this is bad. I heard that how this is totally off topic, but how they say you're not supposed to use soap on cast iron?
No, I
So
did not
you're
hear.
not supposed to use soap on cast iron.
Like
So as I
soap?
said, like dish soap.
Okay.
And I never have, right? Most people don't use soap on their cast iron because it'll like ruin the finish. I heard, and I don't know, I need to like verify this, that was actually started by the Teflon industry because they wanted people to buy nonstick pans. And so they were saying like, don't use soap on cast iron to scare people away from cast iron because people are like, you can't use soap. And like, that seems like a pain in the butt, or that seems unhygienic, or like, that's wrong. That seems like not good. You actually can use soap on cast iron. I learned that you can. I'm just letting you know, if you have a cast iron, don't just try it. And it came from the Teflon industry. So that's like, it's an example of like, yeah, it would be really easy for us to say, to find some villain and make up a half truth about it. Come up with a couple studies that verify that that's true, because it's easy enough to plan a study to get the results that you want. That's why we don't do a lot of that. We haven't done one in years, because at the end of the day, any company can come up with a study that proves the point they're trying to make. It's not hard to do. So use your body as the study. I do. Like, I try other people's products all day long. At the end of the day, especially if you're buying products that are in our country, that are manufactured in the United States, I hate to say you're not going to get hurt, but you're not. You're not going to ingest something that's going to really hurt you. You might feel bad or good, but give things a try. Try our product, try other people's product. I take a lot of other people's products. I feel like that's part of my job. And so, trust your gut, trust your intuition and how your body feels. And trust the studies that are done on humans, and follow the money. Always follow the money. Because
That's true. I got to admit, I do work in the industry, and I've been researching this stuff like for my job for this show, and maybe I got carried.
I get carried away too. I mean, they're fascinating, right? And I found one the other day that like totally verifies my point that maltodextrin does not affect the microbiome, or the basically just the gut bacteria. And it said everything I wanted to say. And as I read the study, I was like, well, this was definitely made to say that. The study was set up in a way where, like, I'm not surprised at all that there was no change to these people's stool samples, which is what it was. They didn't overdose them, right? They gave them like really normal doses, like low, similar to ours. They only did like one serving a day for 2 weeks. Like, it was a very low key study, and I can't remember who funded it. But as I looked at who funded it, I was like, oh, that's why, And so, I mean, I found one that justifies my opinion, and I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to like bring that to the table and say, look, this is definitive proof, because it's not. At the end, like, I go back to, we no longer live in a society. Some of you do, and good for you, but you're probably not watching this. We don't live in a society where we farm all of our own food, and we kill all of our own protein, and we fish all of our own fish, and we see our food from seedling to our mouths. We don't live that way anymore. And so compromises have to be made, right? Like, if I want to get the vitamins and minerals in Hydrate and Recover that I want to get, I'm compromising that this is not God's made like the perfect way, right? It's not. It's faster, it's easier, it's more convenient than living that life, but there are compromises, and that's just reality. So life, yeah, it's just life. And I think like this kind of obsession with like the perfection in supplements and nutrition is just exhausting. Like, no, guys, you're not God. Like, sorry, we all fall very short of that, and we're never going to come up with something better than what was put on this earth. But we try, and we're going to fall short. So, with anything, moderation. If moderation. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about maltodextrin? Just,
I don't think so. I think I covered. I mean, I have like a lot of things I wanted to make sure that I discussed. But I think we hit everything.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've ever talked this long about maltodextrin, but no, I think that's it. And we covered hydration. We covered how it all works. Yeah.
I learned a lot. I hope you guys did too. But like I like to do sometimes with guests on the show, I like to do a little bit of a rapid fire for fun type stuff. So stick around if you're interested in Courtney's rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Just a few of them.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
Number 1, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Ooh, I changed it a lot, but for most of my life, it was a teacher. Yeah, until college. And then I had a summer job where I was forced to apologize to a kid who hit me. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. And yeah, and I changed to business. Okay.
So physical violence.
Well, no, he hit me. And then I got to apologize to him because I made him angry and he hit me. Yeah. And I was like, if this is how this is going, I'm not even going to be in this industry. So
Fair enough.
if you're out there, kid, I don't remember your name, but I'm glad you hit me.
Thank you for...
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm here.
All right. Number 2, favorite book and why?
Oh, and this is going to make people mad. Atlas Shrugged. And it shouldn't make you mad. Again, don't knock it till you try it. There's a lot of negative press about Ayn Rand and her beliefs and thoughts. But I don't think there's a book that shows us the dangers of losing sight of our goals and our ambitions more than that as a society. So, and I also feel, and you've read it also.
I have.
I've pushed it on a lot of people. I also feel like this day and age, there are some characters in our political stage in our society that line up with those characters. Like Elon Musk is something out of Atlas Shrugged, good or bad. Like, right? I think remember the guy with the mine who like blows up his mine.
Yeah.
That's like Elon Musk. That's what he did with Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So if you want kind of some insight from a crazy Russian woman on why communism is bad, then read Atlas Shrugged.
Well, to be fair, like I didn't agree with everything in the book.
No,
and
you have to.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So,
It's just a really, it's so well written, and my cat is named Dagny.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
If you won the lottery, what's the first thing that you would do?
Oh my God, we've been through this because we all just put in for the lottery recently.
Yeah. I didn't know what you decided.
I mean, I was boring. I was like, well, we pay off our house and like our rental house. But Kevin's like, really? Well, we would. Why pay it? Well, we would. The first thing, have a freaking panic attack. Actually, that's what I would do because when we put in for the lottery, as like we all bought tickets and there was like 30 of us, and I was in Flagstaff with Kevin and the kids, and when the drawing was, and I was like, okay, I have all the tickets physically with me of all these people, and like if we win right now, like what do I do? Like I'm a billionaire all of a sudden, and people are going to try and kill me. Like, how do I? Not you guys, but like other people. And so panic. And I think winning that amount of money it would be weird for me because I'm so motivated by growth and like motivated by growing companies that having all of that be unnecessary for like my life to keep growing. That would be a weird feeling to not have to work again. Oh. I don't want that. So I'd probably hide it from myself.
I could take it.
Yeah, you can have it. Yeah.
If you could have a conversation with anyone throughout history, who would it be and why?
Anyone throughout history?
Yes.
Jesus.
Alive or dead?
Jesus. Yeah. I have questions, and I want some answers. Yeah. But I think he would be the most fascinating figure, but whatever you believe about Jesus and Christianity, I think to know for sure from his own mouth how that all went down, I would like to know that.
Yeah, I actually never thought about that answer.
Yeah.
And
whether or not like it's a religious or like my faith, like move that aside.
He's the person,
the most important figure in history, right? So I think Jesus.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And then the last one, and this is a spicy one.
Oh, spicy! Ew.
Wilderness athlete or outdoorsmans?
Oh gosh, like for what? What's the context?
Just favorite kit.
I can't answer. I would say outdoorsmans. It feels like my family, like because I grew up in that and back when it was a shop in Cave Creek or Cave Creek Road, and it feels like a legacy, like that I will always be tied to. And then Wilderness feels like more of mine and my own. Not I didn't, Mark founded it, but I've been here for a little while. And I think I've done some good here. So I don't know. That's really hard. I'd have to say the one I think I'll never ever be able to leave is Outdoorsmans.
But well, and that's true because I'm Wilderness.
I know, yeah. And also I think it's a lot easier to find like really good people to work on Wilderness Athlete. It's a kind of like in a lot of ways, it's Floyd and I used to argue about this all the time, which business is easier or harder to run. And I always said it was Wilderness Athlete and he always said it was Outdoorsmans. And I'm starting to like more agree with him. That Wilderness Athlete is a little easier to run and it's a little easier to find people who are really passionate about it. Whereas Outdoorsmans is so much more technical and the machine shop and the product development and all this that it's like, it's hard. It's harder. Yeah, I can't, I'm never parting with either. So
that's okay, Ash. I'll take that answer. The fact that Wilderness Athlete, the people just make it easy for you.
The people do make it easy, yeah.
Courtney, thank you so much for being here with us and talking about maltodextrin and having some fun with the rapid fire questions. Guys, if you have any questions for Courtney, she will answer them.
I will. Long emails.
Yes. Yeah. You ready for it to take a while, Dave? Please leave them down in the comments below. We also have a Facebook community page that you can do posts on. She's very active in there along with the rest of us. So please leave your questions and comments and concerns there. And tell us what we can speak to that you're passionate about on this show. We'll address it.
And if I misspoke on anything science-y, you're not allowed. You can say it in the comments, but be nice, okay? I'm not a scientist.
No fighting in the comments.
No fight, yeah. Don't be nice to us.
All right, guys. I'm your host, Ethan, with my boss, Courtney Guillen. This has been the Keep Up Show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Woohoo! That was fun.